Hi everybody, I'm Dennis. Welcome back to the Bindery. Today I want to show you how I went about making this. It's a bookbinding manual written over a century ago, but this isn't a rebinding video. Everything about this book is brand new, including the text block. Over the years I've received so many questions about how to format books for printing and binding that I finally decided to figure it out for myself. In this video I want to show you how I started off with an ebook and transformed it into a printed text that's ready for sewing. As for the binding itself, I'll share that process with you over the next few videos. But here's the fun part. At the end of this series, I'll be giving this copy away to one of you. I'll talk more about that a little bit later, but for now, let's rewind to where all this got started. I figured if I'm going to start printing books, I'll need a reliable printer. This one has automatic double-sided printing and can handle paper up to 11 by 17 inches. And no, this isn't sponsored. This thing was paid for in full, so I'm hoping it'll be worth it. Time to get it set up. With the printer ready to go, I'll need something to print on, but not just ordinary printer paper. Short grain paper is what's best for bookbinding, and the easiest way to get some is to simply cut down some larger sheets. This 11 by 17 paper is long grain, and will become standard letter size paper once I cut it in half. Technically, the grain in the paper doesn't change when I do this, just the orientation, but it's effectively the same thing. In fact, this new machine can in theory handle this size paper, but most home printers don't have that capacity, so I'll do it this way to keep things simple. That first cut was a bit off, so I'll put all the sheets back in for a little trim. These are now slightly less than 8.5 inches wide, but it should still be okay. Alright, the printer's loaded and ready to go. Now I just need a book to print. In my opinion, the best source for free ebooks is Project Gutenberg. There you'll find over 75,000 ebooks that are no longer subject to copyright in the United States and are free to read, download, and reproduce. Project Gutenberg is run by volunteers, so if you like what they're doing, then consider sending them a donation. The book I've chosen is Douglas Cockerell's Bookbinding and the Care of Books. It's a foundational textbook on classical English bookbinding and should be required reading if you're a serious student of the craft. I already have an original copy, which is why I'll be giving away the one that I'm printing today. Now that I've found a book, I need to download it, so I select the epub format, which is fine for e-readers, but for us it's just the starting point. The first thing I did was to turn that ebook file into something easier to handle, so I chose to convert it into a PDF. I used a free online utility I found called PDF Gear, which has a whole bunch of great tools, including an epub to PDF converter. There are other ways to do this, but I found this to be quick and easy, so I'll put a link to it in the description. Technically, the book is now in a printable format, but if we open it up, you can see that it doesn't really look all that great. There's quite a lot of extra text in there from Project Gutenberg that we don't need to print. The font is pretty plain and the margins aren't ideal. There's an index, but there aren't any page numbers to go along with it. And overall, it just looks kind of basic and janky. But if I want to fix all that, which I obviously do, I need to convert the document once again, this time into something that I can edit. For that, I chose to use MS Word, mainly because it's familiar. I'm used to Word's idiosyncrasies, and it happens to do a pretty good job at converting the PDF into a word processor file too, so that's what I went with to do my formatting. Or, to use the technical term, typesetting. Typesetting is a serious skill all on its own, but in basic terms, it's all about arranging the words and images on the pages for both readability and aesthetics. I'm no expert, but I've read my fair share of books, so I've got an idea where I'm going. I started with the basics like the type and size of font, the margins, etc. I also changed the document size to half letter size, as I'll be printing the book in folio format, meaning 2 pages per sheet, and double-sided of course. After that, I got down to the details of typesetting each page, with special attention to all the illustrations. I noticed right away that the scanned images were pretty low resolution, so I decided to digitally upscale all 120 of them. Luckily, I was able to bulk process them and it didn't take too long, and I think the resulting images look much better. I obviously added page numbers, revamped the table of contents, and I manually cross-referenced the entire index to make sure that all of the entries were accurate, as well as a whole bunch of other little tweaks. The final result is a pretty good-looking document, but it's still not ready for binding. If I printed it off now and folded up the signatures, the pages would be all out of order. They need to be rearranged so that they'll be in the correct sequence once the sheets are folded into signatures. And that process is called imposition. Unlike typesetting, which arranges the way the words look on the page, imposition is the process of rearranging the pages themselves. When 2 pages are printed on each side of a sheet of paper, it's called folio, and depending on the number of sheets per signature, the page numbers can seem pretty jumbled up. To make matters worse, books can be imposed in quarto, which means 4 pages per side, octavo, which is 8, or even sextodecimo, which is 16 pages per side, or 32 pages total front and back. Luckily, there's a free online tool that makes imposing your book easy. But first, I need to change it back into a PDF again. I found using the export function rather than print to PDF does a better job of preserving the formatting, especially if you've got an odd-size custom paper size. Once it's back in PDF form, it's ready to be imposed. To do that, I'll use an app called Bookbinder.js. And while I'm not savvy enough to know how it works, I do know that it does. Again, I'll link to it in the description. Under File Info, select your typeset PDF. You have the choice of generating an aggregate file, signature files, or both. The aggregate is a single PDF of the entire book, which is best if you have an auto-duplex printer like mine, or if you're going to take your book to a print shop. For printing on a typical home printer, choose the signatures option, as you'll want to print one signature at a time and flip the sheets manually. You of course will want to select your paper size and printer, and then the page layout. I'm going with folio to keep things simple, and because I've already set the page dimensions of my PDF to half letter size, I don't need to mess with any of these other settings. Under markup, you can have it add a variety of reference marks. I like to add on the signature order marks on the spine. You'll find a variety of options under signature format. I want standard signatures, of course, and I think I'll go with 8 sheets. Finally, I'll add in single fly leaves at the front and back, and that's it. Down at the bottom, I can click Preview, and it gives me a little summary of the number of signatures, total sheets of paper required, and that sort of thing. That all looks good, so I'll go ahead and hit Generate, which creates a zip folder that will need to have the files extracted. In there you'll find the aggregate file of the imposed book, a folder with all the signature files, and a little text file which is a record of all the relevant settings. I'll open up the aggregate file, and you can see everything looks quite jumbled, but that's okay. It's supposed to look like that. Now all that's left to do is print it. As I'm printing the whole aggregate file, I select Print All Pages, and it's important I make sure that the Print on Both Sides box is ticked. Since I've already typeset the book to the correct dimensions, I set it to print as actual size rather than fit to page, which is of course 8.5 by 11 letter size paper. After that, all that's left to do is press print. Okay, while that's doing its thing, I've got some news to share. After much encouragement from viewers like you, I've finally gone ahead and launched a Patreon. It's a way for me to continue growing our book-loving community and to give something back to those of you who want to directly support the channel. My goal is to cram in lots of extra fun stuff there, like ad-free or Patreon-exclusive videos, behind-the-scenes updates, and digital downloads such as the book that we've been working on today. The site's a work in progress as I settle in there, but I'm sure I'll find my vibe as we grow the space together. And to celebrate, I want to gift this very copy of Bookbinding in the Care of Books to one lucky Patreon member. So if you'd like a chance to own this book, click on the Patreon links throughout this video to find out more. It's an exciting new chapter in my bookbinding journey, so I hope to see you there. Okay, it looks like our book is finished printing. Let's take it out to the bindery and see if the imposition worked. You'll recall that I set my signatures to have 8 sheets each, so I'll count out the first 8 and fold those all together. I do intend to trim the book later, but it's still important to fold the signatures carefully to maintain equal margins and to keep the text square. I found it helps to keep an eye on the page numbers inside the fold of the last sheet. Those two should always be consecutive, like 16 and 17, for example. If they're not consecutive, it probably means that you've missed or added a page. Once it's folded, I always do a double check. The blank flyleaf's at the front. Next we've got the half title, then the frontispiece and the full title page. Yeah, it's all looking as intended. I've got to say, it's a big improvement over the utilitarian formatting of the original ebook. Anyway, once I'm happy that the imposition is all good, I can go ahead and fold up the rest of the signatures. You can see here the signature markers that we added, and that's a handy little feature. I'm sure I'll appreciate it when I take these back out of the press later and need to put them back in order. This seems like a good spot to call it for today's video. But if you'd like to carry on and print a copy of this book for yourself, head on over to my Patreon to download the fully typeset and imposed text. And while you're there, maybe check out some of the other goodies, including a chance to win a copy of this book once it's all done. That's it for me for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, I'm Dennis, and I'll see you next time.